If you are binging and then restricting, if you are emotionally eating and then you go on a diet, this video is for you. We're going to talk about why it is so hard to get off of that cycle of binging and restricting. We're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about how you can. And I'm going to give you some insights around this, opportunities to connect even more with me. So if you're new to my world, my name is Marla Mervis-Hartmann. I'm creator of Love Your Body, Love Yourself. I am the author of Befriend Yourself, Finding Freedom with Food and Peace with Your Body. And I have lived in that cycle of being the good girl, restricting and keeping it all together, only to have it so tight and to diet so much. I didn't call it dieting. I called it eating really healthy. But this over pressure to eat right and get it right would lead me to being A, hungry, B, have my body take over and say, oh, you're going to eat food and you're going to eat a lot of it. And then for me to shame myself, we shame ourselves. We say, see, I can't control myself with food. I need to even create more boundary, more restriction, more dieting. I need to have more control, because if I have more control, I will feel safe. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. And so what I teach in my practice, that there are often those two roads. There's the diet road, there is the overeating road. And I teach this road, a road of connection with self, a road that it doesn't have to look like restriction and it doesn't have to look like overeating and overdoing it. There is a balance here. Let's lay this out a little bit more. When we are restricting and when we are dieting, we're literally like starving ourselves for nourishment and nutrition. We can also be starving ourselves for pleasure, joy, connection. I know that when I was tight around my food, I was tight around what I did, because there would be fear about going somewhere, because then there would be that food and then I would lose control. So things got really small. So we have this sense of not fully living or feeling like we're free. And the reason why this feels like we want to break free from it, because it's coming from a place of shame. I'm broken. I shouldn't look like this. What is wrong with me? I don't feel good about myself. Trauma, wounding from the past, from a coping mechanism that is creating this cycle. So it hits a point where it has to release. That can look like the rebel, the body taking over. Like I said, we are animals. We are primal beings, and the body will win. So what happens when we get to that point where the body is like, you're going to eat? It can feel out of control because the body doesn't trust us. It thinks, oh, she's not going to feed me again. He's not going to feed me again. So I better take this opportunity and I better really get the most out of this. And so that's what will happen. We'll overeat. We'll crave and desire for like really fatty foods, things that aren't actually good for us. Right? Because the body is craving the nourishment and sometimes just the good old fun. And then it goes over to this camp, and this camp can look like the binge eating, the emotional eating, and the staying here, staying in this process, because it's like, this is too hard over here. It's so much. I just can't. I don't want to. And I don't want to beat myself up anymore. And that's when people come to me too. They're like, I want to feel healthy, but I don't want to have to beat myself up. And the only thing I see out there is everyone beating themselves up and saying, don't. So when we get to this place over here where we're feeding, and now it's like the opposite of that. It's feeding that hole. There's a hole here that wants to be fed. This hole that food can feel like love and meet this need inside of us. The hole never ends. Now we can use food and it pushes us down and grounds us. And for a moment can feel like, oh gosh, I'm here, right? And then what happens? That shame comes up. That shame surfaces. I'm gross. I'm disgusting. What is wrong with me? See, I can't control my food. I really do need to get back to that. And that's what it can look like. Restrict, binge in the same day. Restrict during the week. Binge on the weekend. That's no way to live. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for your body. It's not healthy for your mind, for your inner being to be in the fullness of what you're here to be and do and explore and experience. And so this other road is one that we meet by neutralizing food, permission-based eating, not all or nothing. It's finding this sweet spot. And the sweet spot can take a little while to figure out, because when we begin to eat things and we neutralize food, we can still have a lot of that chatter around what's good or what's bad. And when we finally feel safe with food, we can actually hear what our body's really wanting. And so neutralizing it is important. I find that eating consistently is really important. So what I would do, I would just eat just enough to curb whatever was right there. But my mind was always like, you're hungry, you're hungry, you're hungry. So I had to unlearn that and relearn to eat a meal and get it and kind of move on with my day. Eat the meal. So when we eat something that we know is nourishing to our body, and that looks like whole foods, I'm all for exploring and eating and enjoying your food. And what I find what trips people up is when they're eating a lot of processed, a lot of sugar, it creates a whole other thing to work on, because there is the biology of the addiction that literally the food world is making us addicted so they can make money. Perfect for them. Not so great for us. So when we're eating consistently whole foods that nourish us, we get nourished on a deeper level. There's a feeling of like, oh, that feels good. It's not that high, but it feels good. And then we do need to heal the emotional triggers and bring curiosity rather than shame. What I mean by that is when we've had this binge eating and we're going to usually go to the shame, we come to curiosity. What is working here for me? What is not working here for me? Why am I in this place again? But it's not coming from shame. It's coming from the curious being inside. When we begin on this journey, we have to rebuild our trust with our body. We have to let our body be fed. We have to honor it. We have to listen, prioritize compassion over punishment. So in my words, in the book that I wrote, Befriend Yourself, we talk a lot about that. We talk about how to become your own best friend, and becoming your own best friend, really the vehicle for this third road, the vehicle that we get in to be in the third, more authentic road, one of compassion, one of friendship with ourselves, one of caring for self, understanding self, feeding self, loving self. And so check my book out, Befriend Yourself. I'll put the link below. I want to remind you that this experience of going from this cycle to this cycle, that healing isn't linear. Sometimes we have to play in these cycles for a while till we jump off of it and get into another path. I also want to remind you that you're not alone in this. There are so many people just like you that are struggling. And I know that when it comes to our food, it can feel like we're the only ones and everyone around us got it all figured out. And let me just tell you, from someone who's been working with people for a long time, that's not the case. A lot of people have this. You're not alone in this. I get it. I understand. I've been through this process. I've worked with people and moved them through this process to a place of peace with themselves, freedom with food, and care for themselves. So below, you're going to see my application process for the Peace with Food and Body Confidence. You can apply for that, and we can do a one-on-one and talk about whatever you have going on, and that's complimentary. Also, I have my free course, Breaking the Cycle of Emotional Eating. So go ahead and check that out. I'm sending you so much love, and I'm just sending you like prayers and healing for your journey with your food. I know that if you've been on it for a while, it can feel like I'm never going to get off this. And I do want to tell you that you can, and it is possible. And there's love here for you. All right. Much love.